Hi, and welcome back to Conversations with Polina Klimovitskaya, Francis Scholl, and myself, Polina Williams. To learn more about Polina and her classes, just go to the description below to see her website. You can click on that and find out about her classes. Today, Francis and I wanted to talk to Polina about how acting is more than just speaking the lines, which is probably obvious to many people, but maybe not. But it's the thought process and also part of what we do when we're in our acting classes with Polina. So Polina, thinking about that acting is more than just speaking the lines, we were wondering if you want to share with people why you say that and how you teach your students about that concept. For example, we were in class the other day and being a cat and being a fluid cat, etc. But just wanted you to expand on that, if you would, about how we go beyond the lines as actors.
You know, we did animal workshops together, which was a whole other work. And what you brought us 2 or 3 weeks ago is to work as if we were a cat, a domestic animal. And you know, you asked us to be very seductive, which of course, you know, if I'm an actor and I play, you know, a young man trying to seduce a woman, probably I would operate from an image that I have in my head, which could be called a stereotype or would end up a stereotype. Whereas when you asked us to go through the medium of embodying a cat, which we see jumping from my desk to the bed and walking to its food and, you know, has a certain way of moving. And so you asked us to really engage our physicality, our body, as if we were cats. And from there, it carried with us throughout the class as we were doing monologues, etc., etc. And that conveyed a certain expressiveness that was not manufactured through the mind, but that was released through our physical embodiment of the cat, which I thought was very powerful for me. And that demonstrated a number of things that we can discuss further down the road, but that's the context.
It's a huge topic, very open. And whatever I would say will be just a pointing out to some element, some point, because because we try to get answers, and every time we walk looking at answer, we limit actually what we are talking about, because basically I don't believe in answers. But let's look from the and kind of I keep always going to open focus. Open focus doesn't have, like when we did an exercise, when we did exploration in a class, when I asked that we had 12 people moving to the same music, but in a very different individual rhythm. And I asked people to adjust and find your rhythm to the general, so to speak, landscape of the movement in a class. And everybody, because you didn't have any objective to work with one person, you had to allow different part of yourself to take the whole picture. There was a different level of appreciation. Usually we appreciate from one point to another. I talk to Louis and you, and I have my objective and goal. And that's what we are taught in acting. Objectives, goals, and emotions. And so that is very limiting road. So my image is that when we approach things in that way, it's like a horse in the traffic, they have to put, you know, those blinders that the horse not be seeing everything, can just go. So we do it ourselves. As a matter of fact, brain, from what I know, from what I talk to psychologists, is actually filtering information that goes through us. Brain does it. But if we work, but brain is not exactly the mind. And the brain does it the same as in tiger. The information has to be filtered because it's too crazy what goes through us. But mind doesn't want to help to process information and filter it. Mind wants to control it. So therefore, a director tells an actor and actress, I want you to be seductive now. I want you to be sexy. So the mind pulls, it's like you pull different programs, different disks. So in a file, I store about sexy and seductive. I pull a thing, push button, sexy, seductive. The image comes. Everything that my mind store, the information in the file, sexy, things comes in. So when you work by the file, or putting things in a file, you basically throwing away the rest of your personality. And you cutting yourself away from environment. So cat in a house, tiger in the field, jungle, whatever they are. I'm sure they're doing filtering because brain does it to every being alive. Plants also have their own filtering, they talk only between their own species. But they still remain part of total. So any animal or for me plants, trees, they are part of the total particular environment they are in. Therefore, their reaction, everybody has objective for plant. A tiger needs to get his food, plant needs to get us water or sun, but it's not cut away. What is happening? You see, acting is not a different phenomena from being a human being. It is a specific manifestation through processing the being in a creative way. But it's not a program. And when I think about acting, I never think about it in separating of the whole cosmic environment we are part of. And therefore, your character is stingy. You have to be stingy. Now, what the hell is stingy? What the hell is sexy, The moment we want to be sexy, the moment we want to be generous, we are not sexy, not generous. I always go to Zen koan. Master, what do I do when I'm hungry? Stay hungry. But I want to be kind, and you are not kind. If you're kind, you don't need to be wanting kind. So acting, right? Things. So going to animals, wild animals are part of total environment. Therefore, the total environment is outside of them and inside. And therefore, they work in harmony. It can be horrible, you see, the fight between, tiger and a poor zebra and all of that. It for human beings, so wow. But the point is that it's different elements, beautiful and horrifying, fearful and exciting. They're all one vibration of a total organism. As human beings and actors, it's multiply, amplified. We cut ourselves from the environment. Shakespeare creates environment. Chekhov creates environment. It's a creative environment. It's not, in life, there are so many things. So geniuses like Shakespeare and Chekhov, they filter what obscures the organic nature. They filter, just like brain filters too much of maybe some kind of noise. And so do great playwrights, and so do great actors. But filtering is not controlling. Filtering is crystallizing. So one of the things what we can learn from our environment and from our nature is whatever word for that, being part of it. It's those words you find in every book of New Age. So I'm a little embarrassed to repeat it, but I don't know any other expressions because it's real, it's true. And so the books say good things. We are unique in like every rose or any plant or any tiger and cat are unique. But in our uniqueness is kind of harmonious things. If this is not a philosophy, but if it becomes an internal feeling in an artist, director, actor, painter, it doesn't matter, in creative things, in human being, because creativity and the way in Baker, when it becomes a sense, it frees us from the internal censorship and control. Everybody has their kind of melody. A tiger needs to find his dinner. It's necessity. It's like there is a necessity now, and then there is organic process, how you go around it. Seduction is necessity for some people, a problem for everybody. It's the same process, it's part of that. The point is how if we calculate it, or if we fully participate in it. So maybe control, maybe is, in other words, could be calculation, because every acting technique, most of the acting techniques, not of course Grotowski, not, like in India, no theater, in Japan, it's a completely different thing. They don't calculate from what, as far as I understand. In Western society, we do like to make sense of everything. Tiger makes sense of everything. The wind blows. Was things, no pray, okay, I go, there is water, and I go and relax and drink. They make sense, but and of course we are not animals, yet we are. I think it's the way what I'm trying to find the language for, to say how our need, which is inborn, how our inborn structure, how the inborn melody within me, my Polina's life melody, or Johnny's life melody, and how we go around about it, how we try to fit it, calculate, to fit it into a form. One of the things that's very interesting, the flow, some kind of things, form, the meaning becomes a form. The sense is a form. My gesture is a form. But I need to allow that form to rise through me. I need that form of the way tiger moves his tongue. And the way that everything has to be harmonized and work in unity. When we calculate, control, whatever is the word, or make sense in a brain, visualize the picture. Okay, so I think we limit ourselves. I think depends how you do it. The same words, one person will visualize and everything comes alive. Another just gets even more stuck in a fake picture in a meaning and cut away from body. So we have to, I want to remind myself, at least, I don't know about others, that words are words, as Hamlet said. What are you reading? Words. What are you saying? Words. Yet Hamlet obviously is looking for some sense. Interestingly enough, I always go back to Shakespeare. The whole play, if you do it what would be like 4 hours, more or less, he holds a question. Everything is a question. Hamlet never answers a single question. He kills by necessity, organically. You point them at him. So Hamlet doesn't kill because he decided that he has a right to kill another human being. He kills in defense and reaction. A tiger attacked him. He attacks, hyena attacks him. So he is a lion. Lions hate hyenas. He never comes to answer. And after that, it's silence. Fine. So, yes, Lou.
I think what I was trying to say in the beginning, and I think part of the work with you, for me at least, is getting out of my head and not staying in my head with my lines. And the animal work helps us connect and flow the energy and the movement, and it's alive. And the audience knows if we're stuck or we're only thinking from here and here. But if we're whole alive, like the lion walking through the field is totally alive, it's a marriage between the mind, body, and soul, so to speak. And the energy, when you create that and you offer it to the audience, they know if you're moving, because it's, your breath, you have to keep breathing. The breath, that I think it's the movement, and that's what I was trying to talk about. Is acting is more than just knowing your lines and knowing what it is, and it's all here. There's no connection to the rest of it, and I think that's why we do some of those, in your class and we take those animal, when we play the cat, and it's also play, and it's connecting the whole body and so that we're open to doing the character.
This one interesting, important element. There is so much, I don't know which one to grasp. Try. It's beautiful what you're saying. Now, what's interesting from a cat? Tiger walking leisurely if he is not too hungry. Lions hate hyenas. They don't really fight, but if hyenas run time, they kind of wake up. It's very interesting. Now, what's interesting at those moments, they don't have interpretation of what they do, and they don't have interpretation of what they feel. They just feel and do.
Yeah.
What happens to actors? We interpret continually. In our society, we don't really, I don't think we rarely get the meaning. We continually reinterpreting the meaning of the meaning. There is continued interpretation. I always say, hold the question. The answer is nothing. I think Western society became society of interpretation of interpretation of interpretation. This brilliant, intellectuals of France. Fascinating to read. Here we have, French, very brilliant gentleman. It's fascinating. But at some point I start to get a headache and I think I cannot breathe anymore. I want to breathe. And yet I won't, and then I go back and read. It's intoxicating. But lion, cat, a bird, they don't have anything outside of what's happening in a moment. they purely live in a presence. And living in a presence, I have to be in contact. Nothing is wrong with mind, nothing is wrong with brain, if it's working in unison. But if it becomes a conductor instead of a conductor who is part of every music and takes and just moves, then it's a brilliant mind. Einstein, his mind was cosmic.
But if I may say, but the thing is, the thing is, which is to be known, I think, for the actors, and a lot of them already know it, but is that when you go to that space, it's endless cues, that come to you. There's endless things happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's not empty. It's not a vacuum. It's like in Buddhism, it's a void. Like it's filled with possibilities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's energy and there's stimulation, and there is, for us as humans, and that creates, as we react to those cues, or as we respond to them, or just like are being affected by them, and move our body, or yawn, or or speed up, or whatever, or change rhythm. I think that's what makes it very interesting for the audience. And that's not manufactured. So it's not manufactured, it's emerging. So it's an emergence process.